For 14 days, my apartment was a mausoleum. Time had stopped the second the door clicked shut behind him. His coffee mug held vigil on the nightstand, a brown ring at the bottom like a faded watermark on an old letter. By the laundry basket, a pair of his socks were two small gray fists, clenched against the floorboards. I couldn't bring myself to move them. To touch them would be a final signature, an admission that he wasn't just running to the store, that this wasn't temporary. I was living inside a photograph of our last morning, and I was the only one left in the frame. My life was fractured into two scenes. There was the performance, and then there was the fade to black. The performance was for the tiny square on my laptop screen. I'd arranged my face into a bright, believable mask for team meetings, camera on, talking about engagement metrics while a silent blizzard raged in my skull. Words came out, I think. My boss would nod. But it was all happening behind a thick pane of glass. Then the laptop lid would close and the silence would rush in. The fade to black wasn't a dramatic collapse. It was a slow, quiet demolition of the self. Dinner was a desperate communion with the refrigerator light. A handful of shredded cheese from the bag, crackers that tasted like dust. I ate standing up as if sitting would make the emptiness permanent. The only place I could feel anything was the shower. I'd turn the water hot enough to sting, press my face to the cold tile, and just let the grief leak out of me. It wasn't sobbing. It was just this quiet, steady poison seeping from my eyes. The nights were a different kind of torture. The hours between midnight and dawn didn't pass. They stretched and congealed like thick, dark honey. This was when my own hand would betray me. I had blocked him, a single, violent spasm of self-preservation. But I hadn't blocked his mother. Her Facebook page became my private, flickering movie screen, a window into a life I was no longer cast in. There he was, his smile a bright, sharp dagger in a photo from his nephew's birthday. There was his arm, thrown casually around his sister's shoulders, the same arm that used to be my anchor. I'd zoom in, a detective of my own sorrow, searching the backgrounds for clues of her, the new girl, the one who didn't break him. It was a ritual of self-immolation, performed every night in the blue light of my phone until the screen burned spots into my vision and the bruised dawn began to bleed through the blinds. This wasn't grief anymore. This was my life now, a low, hopeless hum of static. The break in the signal came from the strangest place. It was 4 a.m. I'd just crawled out of a 2-hour rabbit hole of his mother's vacation photos from 3 years ago, and my thumb was just numbly tapping through old bookmarks. It landed on a forum for some obscure board game we used to love. In a thread about a new expansion, a man had posted, "My partner just left me, and I can't even look at this game anymore. I think I'm broken." And under the sympathetic replies, one comment from a woman thousands of miles away cut through the noise. "I know this sounds stupid, but try the 7-day reset. It's not magic, but it's a ladder out of the hole." And she listed it. Day 1, total information blackout. Day 2, rearrange one thing in your space. Day 3, go for a walk and listen to one song on repeat. I made a sound that was half a laugh, half a choke. A walk? Rearrange my bookshelf? Was this a joke? My entire internal architecture had been leveled, and this woman was offering me a throw pillow and an MP3. It was so absurd, so offensively simple. But then I looked at my reflection in the dark screen, a pale ghost haunting the room. I was so tired. I was so tired of being the ghost. What was there left to lose? Fine, I'll play your stupid game. Day 1 was the blackout. Not just him, but his entire solar system. His friends, his sister, and the final boss, his mom. My finger hovered over her profile, my heart a frantic bird beating against my ribs. She was my last window. Blocking her was closing the curtain for good, admitting I was truly adrift. It was killing the fantasy that I was still a silent observer in their orbit. I drew a breath that felt like I was inhaling glass shards, and I pressed the button. Unfriend. Block. The silence from my phone was immediate and deafening, like stepping out of a roaring concert into a vacuum. All day my thumb twitched, reaching for a door that had vanished. That night, I slept a heavy, dreamless sleep, the kind that feels less like rest and more like a system shutting down. Day 2, rearrange one thing. I stood before the bookshelf, a jumbled tombstone of his stories and mine. My fingers found the cracked spine of his favorite novel. I could feel the worn-out spot where he always said the best part began. A wave of pure, uncut grief hit me so hard I had to sit on the floor, clutching the book to my chest like a body. This was a mistake. But the list was a whisper in my head. One thing. I made a raw animal sound in my throat and placed his book in a cardboard box. Then the next. And the next? For an hour, I sorted and dusted, my books going back on the shelves alone. When I finished, I stood back. It was just a bookshelf, but it was in order. It was only mine. For a single fleeting second, the fog in my head thinned. Day 3, the walk and the song. I left my phone on the counter, a sleeping viper, and took an old iPod. I chose a loud, snarling guitar track from my teenage years and put it on repeat. The first 5 minutes, I felt like an idiot, marching down my street to an anthem of adolescent rage. I saw a couple holding hands and my stomach clenched with a familiar acidic burn. But the drumbeat was a second furious heart pounding in my ears, forcing me forward. For 20 minutes, I walked and the music filled every crack and crevice in my mind, leaving no room for the hum. It wasn't peace. It was just a different noise. A louder noise. My noise. The days after that, the tectonic plates of my life shifted, almost imperceptibly. I cooked a vat of pasta sauce so full of garlic it exorcised the stale, sad air from every room. I wore a bright red lipstick just to sit on my own couch. My friend Jess, who had been sending gentle, unanswered texts for weeks, sent another, "Thinking of you." This time, I wrote back. "I'm a mess, but I'm alive. Coffee soon?" Her reply was a flare in the dark. "Thank God, tomorrow, my treat." And when we met, I let it all spill out. The Facebook forensics, the cheese dinners. She just listened. Then she told me a story about a bad haircut, and a noise I hadn't heard in ages bubbled up from my chest. A laugh. It felt rusty and it hurt, but it was mine. On day 7, I wasn't thinking about the list. I just felt an urge to wear my favorite dress. A dark green velvet one I hadn't touched in a year. I put it on for no one. Standing in the kitchen, I caught my reflection in the dark window, lit by the lamp behind me. It wasn't the ghost. It was me. Tired, yes. A little sad around the eyes. But it was me. The hollowness was gone, replaced by a quiet. And a thought drifted into my head, soft as a moth. I wonder what I should do this weekend. It wasn't a question laced with dread. It was just a space. A small, quiet clearing in the wreckage. This isn't a magic trick. The list didn't fix me. Healing is a clumsy, stumbling dance, not a straight line. The fog still rolls in sometimes, but that stupid list was like someone striking a single match in a pitch-black cavern. It didn't illuminate the exit, but it showed me the ground beneath my feet, enough to take one step. So if you're out there, reading this in your own blue-lit room, I see you. I'm not going to tell you it gets better, but I will tell you to do one thing, just one. Don't worry about the rest of the week. Just do day 1, block them, or just rearrange your damn bookshelf. It's not the answer, but it's a beginning. It's the first quiet word you speak back to yourself.